Hi everyone, and welcome to A Woman's Wealth today. All right, so today's chat is about paying it forward. I went to the TFD series yesterday and it was a lovely time and there was so much wisdom, and I figured instead of trying to figure out when to pay it forward and how to pay it forward, I might as well just turn one of these weekly chats into that. So I'm just going to wait 1 or 2 seconds for more people to join in. Then we'll pray and then we'll start as usual. Hi, thanks for joining. Hi. Oh, there's a wave option. I haven't seen this before. Let me click it. That's nice. I don't know, this is the first time I'm seeing this on Instagram Live, where when people join you can wave at them. So I'm going to wave at you. Tell me what happens when I wave at you. Tell me what it looks like on your end when I wave at you, please. Is that what it looks like? Yeah, I'm waving at everyone because I really like this new function that Instagram has included. Oh, hi. Okay, cool. So you're in trouble. Everybody that joins, as long as you join one by one, I'm going to be waving at you. But thank you guys all for joining. All right, so I'm just going to start by praying and then we'll dive in. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for another opportunity to speak on A Woman's Wealth. Thank you for the opportunity to have attended the TFD series yesterday. Thank you for the wealth of wisdom, and thank you for the women who organized it, Fela Durotoye and Mrs. Ibukun Awosika. Lord, I ask that you help me communicate the wisdom that I received effectively, and please touch the heart of everyone listening so that, you know, what I'm sharing would actually make impact in their lives, in Jesus' name. As usual, Lord Jesus, I entrust my mouth to you. I open my mouth wide and I trust that you will fill it. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Hi everyone again. Okay, so I was 1 minute late today, I'm sorry. But there are already a few of us here, so I'm going to start. So I'll tell you the background story of how I ended up pretty much hustling to go to the TFD series that happened yesterday. So a few years ago on Instagram, I saw videos of Mrs. Ibukun Awosika talking. People had just put up these video clips. I don't know if anyone here saw them. And I was just like, how, when, what is this thing? Who is this woman? Why does she have so much wisdom? When did this happen and why wasn't I there? Like literally, I was just like, why did I miss it? Who do I need to know to get into the room where these people are, you know, get to have access to her? And then I saw advertisements for the next one. I sent an email, nothing happened. And there was another one, I sent an email. They said I wasn't in the age group. And I said, you know, I just kept trying. And so 2 days after my birthday, I believe, or a day after my birthday, I saw it pop up and it's like, oh, the next TFD series coming up. I didn't even check when, I didn't check the dates, I didn't check anything. I just paid immediately. Like I transferred the money immediately so that I wouldn't have to think about it, start thinking, oh my God, why? Maybe I should just follow live on Instagram, something like that. So yeah, I paid, and then I sent the confirmation email and I didn't get a confirmation back. I just got like an acknowledgement of my email. And I was like, what's going on? My 10K better not just have disappeared, because that early bird price was 10K. I think later it was 15K. And then anyway, long and short, I didn't know it was happening. I forgot about it actually. I didn't know what the date was because I didn't keep in touch. So I didn't follow up on the Instagram update. I just assumed I've paid. When they receive my money, they'll confirm and let me know. And so the night before, literally Monday night, maybe about 7 p.m. or something, I check my email and I see, you know, this is the address and everything. And I had scheduled a meeting for Tuesday. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to have to bounce that meeting. That's how my hunger for the TFD series came about. Actually going there was interesting because for me, I'm not very, like I don't go to networking events. I've never been like a career professional trying to, you know, advance my career in that way. I've always been in the artistic field. And even the artistic field, I still didn't do that thing of like hobnobbing and trying to meet people. I think that's actually a deficiency. I felt socially awkward. So if I know you, or if I'm the one organizing the event, then I can socialize. But if I showed up at some random event, then it was really hard for me to walk up to anyone and just say hi. So I used to try to avoid them as much as possible. So when I was going for this one, I was like, Motaya, now you're older, you're wiser, you know a little bit better. Should you try to socialize and network? I was just like, you know what, God, I give it to you because I am more confident as a human being, but I still don't know, like I'm not selling anything. So for instance, when you're networking, one of the major tips is know what you're asking for, have a goal in mind, so that when you're speaking with people, there is something in your mind that you're actually trying to get out of them. But for me, I feel like all I wanted to go there to do was to sit down as close to Mrs. Ibukun Awosika as possible, and to sit down in front, if possible, to sit on the first row, and to hear as much as possible. And if anything stirs up in my spirit, then I'll move like that. But I didn't really have a plan. I got there bright and early, 15 minutes early. I sat in front. I talked to a few lovely ladies. There was a lady on my right whose name was Vena, and a lady on my left whose name was Debbie, and another lady on the other side whose name was Biola. I remember their names. And while we were sitting down, you know, chit-chatting, contrary to what people say, I mean, we were all on our phones, but we weren't snubbing each other. We would like make conversation, and then when conversation runs dry, then we look at our phones. So it wasn't a weird, awkward situation. It was actually quite warm, like, because the women who came either were very specific in the fact that they wanted to network, or they were just specific in the fact that nobody was trying to waste anybody's time. Nobody was giving any attitude as far as where I was. And it was just there was a nice expectant feeling, because most of the people who were there had never attended a TFD event like I had. So I think everybody was a bit excited to see what would happen. And then not halfway through, like around 10 or a few minutes past 10, a few minutes past 10, I saw my friend Adenike Oyetunde, and so I went to say hi to her. And this is really interesting because I went to say hi to her, and then we started gisting, and then we started having like what she ended up calling a God moment. So we started talking about some really deep things that we've been going through personally. Not even like it's deep, but it's not like the end of the world. We're just sharing what we're going through at the moment. And she was sharing her own, and I was just like, man, I know exactly where you are. And I was sharing how I had become vulnerable recently, and I was learning that sometimes when you're in a tough position, there are people around you who can help you, but because of pride and because of a feeling of shame, we don't end up reaching out for help. And I was just sharing that basically I had gone through this process, and in going through this process, I had learned that the moment I looked beyond my pride and I started to have the conversation, you know, I received the help that God had in store for me, basically. So while we were talking, we were both getting teary-eyed. This lady, Bawale Agboade, came to sit next to Adenike and was like, Adenike, I need your help, kind of thing. And sidebar, Bawale Agboade is a woman who runs one of the most innovative, one of the most life-changing things I've come across lately, called Kid Entrepreneurs. Yeah. And basically what she does is she teaches young children from like the age of maybe like 4, 5 and above business skills, entrepreneurial skills. You know, how to have an entrepreneurial mindset, how to buy and sell, how to advertise your products, how to price, just basic things like that. And for me, I found it so impactful because I realized that these are skills I don't have. So for anyone here who's been following A Woman's Wealth this whole year, the first reason why I started A Woman's Wealth was so that I could learn about finances and try to work on my finances, and then share my process with you, and then let's be accountable. So we had those goals: read a book, or read a book a week, or whatever, things like that. And that was my goal with A Woman's Wealth. Incidentally, A Woman's Wealth was inspired by First Bank. I went to the First Bank First Gem event in December, and Mrs. Awosika was talking to women about financial literacy, and I was like, oh my God, like, I want to be financially literate. I want to know these things so that I wouldn't be as cash strapped or frustrated or confused as I've been. And so it's just interesting, you know. Mrs. Awosika was essentially the trigger for a woman's wealth, and then I ended up obviously hosting to the TFD series yesterday. Anyway, so yeah, before I round up on kid entrepreneurs, I found that I was watching some of the videos of kid entrepreneurs on YouTube, on Instagram, and I found that there was this little girl who was talking, and she said, oh, she was probably like 8 as far as I'm aware. She was like, oh, you know, I really enjoyed my time here, and it just made me realize that when I'm older, if I get broke, I can just start a business. And I realized that that perspective was so completely different from the perspective that we've had about businesses, and which links into one of the things that God is teaching me, which we'll talk about at another Woman's Wealth, another Wednesday, which is that I believe that money-making skills are supposed to be like life skills. So it's like, the analogy in my head is, money is not supposed to be a determinant. Oh, hi. Okay, I'm just going to wave at everyone one by one because I love this waving thing. So money is not supposed to be an obstacle for our lives. Money is meant to, it's like food. It's like saying, being able to cook is a life skill. Yeah? Being able to, even if you cannot make any fancy meal, even if you always burn the rice when you boil it, you can feed yourself. So you can always at least boil indomie, boil egg, fry plantain, drink gari. Like, you can make essential things so that you can live. And God was saying that this is the same way making money is supposed to be a life skill. Now, some people decide to go and get a career as a cook or as a chef. Those people are the ones who need to specialize to a certain degree. And some people are just enthusiasts. They cook by themselves. They love cooking to the point where they've honed their skills. However, whether or not you're a chef, you can cook, you can feed yourself when you're hungry, because it is an essential life skill. I feel as if God is saying that making money is supposed to be an essential life skill and not something that you revolve your whole life around. So you're not meant to be someone who, like, should I chase my purpose, or should I chase money? That's not supposed to be the way we see it. That's why the Bible says you cannot serve God and mammon. If you're chasing your purpose, you're chasing God. If you're chasing money, you're serving mammon. But the thing is, you're supposed to have that life skill. Whereas, okay, if you're broke now and you need 50K, you don't have to say, oh my God, I have to turn my life around. You can just say, okay, what are those life skills I've learned about making money? You know, is there something at home I can trade? Can I call one of my uncles and say, can I help you do this, and you give me a commission? Like, they're just supposed to be essential things we can do that do not interrupt our lives. So for instance, like the apostles, I remember there's a place where Paul was talking about how when he went, I think it was to the Corinthians, when he went there, he didn't ask them for money. He rolled up his sleeves and was working, because no food for lazy man. So he did not now say, oh my God, now I've ended my career as a preacher, I am now a farmer. No, he just did it on the way, just as an essential life skill, so that he could live, so that he could give value, receive income or food or whatever it was that he was doing it in exchange for. But at the same time, he's continuing his path, so it wasn't a distraction. But we will talk about that in another Woman's Wealth Life chat. The point of that was that I met her, and I was so excited, and I pretty much was like, kid entrepreneurs is changing my life. And she was just like, because I was a bit overwhelmed, because I was like, oh my God, I've been using this little child as an analogy for life. And she's just like, okay. But what ended up happening was that Adenike then ended up being the person who opened the event. And then when she was asked to pray, she then came round and gave me the mic and was like, oh, you pray. And so I prayed, which was really nice as well. Yeah. Uniquely Yeti, you said, yeah, makes sense. Contentment is so key. Sometimes greed and fear underlies our pursuit of money in excess. That is true, but that's not really the point I was making. The point I was making is that money making as a life skill is different from money making as a career path, right? But a lot of times what would eventually happen is that your purpose will start to make you money. However, in the times when it doesn't, you don't have to sacrifice purpose, because you always know how to live, so you're never hungry. Because that's the whole purpose of money, to kind of provide for you, essentially. So it's just to change our mindsets from, oh my God, I need money, so my whole life has to revolve around that. All right. Let's leave all that behind. Ooh, and it was while I was at the TFD series that God gave me this line. He goes, Omataya, if you can stop being ashamed of who you are, you will be all you were meant to be. Your life started to revolve around others when you started to feel ashamed of who you were or who you are. And it happened in stages. And then God goes, but you carry your own fire. And basically for me, this revolves around money. The only time I've ever felt shame in my life concerning my career, or rather the only times I feel shame concerning my career and my life path is when it comes to money, really. When I feel like what I'm doing isn't making money, then I start to feel ashamed. I feel like I should make different choices. But every time I remove money from the equation, I'm very content. I'm very happy. All right, so let's dive in. I've already spent like 15 minutes of your time just gisting. Oof, so many notes, sorry. I'm just going to start in chronological order of how I wrote them down. Okay, that should help. Okay, now I'm not starting in chronological order, sorry. All right, the first thing that jumps out at me from the notes that I wrote were, there was a time somebody asked Mrs. Awosika a question. They asked, she said she's seen Mrs. Awosika, in power situations where, she's kind of like the power woman, but she's also had one-on-one encounters with her, even if it's just greeting her as she's walking past, where she's so nice and warm. And she says, how does she balance being warm with being a power woman? And Mrs. Awosika basically said, there has been a lie that women have to act like men when they are in certain positions of power. And that is a lie. That our strength is essentially in our femininity, and we can be powerful and feminine at the same time. And for me, that really just struck my heart, because obviously, like, if you've watched enough of the live chats, you've heard us talk about the fact that God is saying that he's trying to empower women, but he doesn't want to empower women to come and do what men do. He wants women to do what women do and do it excellently. So a woman CEO is a CEO the way a woman would be. She can rely on her intuition as well as her intellect. She can create a group, she can create a team that is efficient, but she can also have a heart and be compassionate, and that those things don't have to be contradictory. I really, really love that. All right, and then I asked a question. Okay, now let me start from the first person. The first person who asked the question was really vulnerable, and I think she started the event on the best note possible. She literally got up and was as open, honestly. I don't know why I'm catching feelings now. I wasn't that emotional when I was there. She said she's at a stage in her life where she's not sure what she wants to do. She quit a job because she did not agree with the values of that organization, but now she doesn't know what skills she has, what she can do. And then she very passionately started to say, with tears in her eyes, like, the one thing she does so passionately is she loves to help people. She loves to help people. She's so excited to help people. People call her to help them, and she's always helping them. And literally, I felt like my heart, I feel like there was such a note of vulnerability in what she was saying, but it was also so real, because what I realized was she didn't see the value in her ability to help. But there's so much value in that, and it also goes back to that what God was teaching us about being women, and when God is teaching us that there are certain feminine traits that God is going to start to monetize. That the reason why women feel like our skills, that the way we are is not valuable. The reason why we try to change the way men are is because men's skills, manly skills, structured skills are rewarded with money. And the way the world is structured, we assume that value and money correlates. So somebody gives you value, so you pay money for it. But that there are a lot of values that are not rewarded. There's a lot of value that people give that is not rewarded with money. And a huge one is, for instance, motherhood and, being a nurturer and being a carer. And so this woman has this helping gift, but she cannot see how she can monetize that. And I feel like that comes down to that thing of, like, women who are very kind and very compassionate, and we cannot see how kindness or compassion, can give you money. But I feel like a season is coming around where people are going to start to value these feminine traits to the point where they would actually be valued monetarily. But the answer to that question essentially was Mrs. Awosika saying, look, first of all, there's no shame in where you are. If you left an organization because you did not agree with the values of that organization, then that is the right thing to do. So don't beat yourself up for that. And then she said, but let's look at this helping skill that you have, that you can't think of what to do with it. And she goes, if you're someone who helps so easily, it means that, for instance, if I have a birthday party to organize, it's my son's birthday, and I've been so busy from meeting to meeting, traveling, that I haven't been able to, organize the party. And I know that you are somebody who helps. If I had your phone number, what would I have done? I would just call you, say, I need to organize this party, you take care of it, give me the bill, I'll write you a check. So she can go into her meetings and be as efficient as she needs to be in the workplace without still, losing or failing at her role as a mom. And so it just gave us a mindset shift, which I think is very important in how we see ourselves, is that every skill you have, I guess, can be monetized. Every skill you have can be monetized. We've talked about how God is teaching about faith and money and how they work together. We won't go into that. I have a YouTube page. I've put some of these videos on YouTube, so I guess you can find it. It's somewhere. I'll post the link. And all of a sudden I saw her face light up, the lady who asked the question, and it's like, so all you have to do is, say you're someone who can help people organize things and take a percentage, and that's a business idea. And it was just like, light bulb moment, like the thing that she does the best, she can actually get paid for it, and I know that feeling, it gives you so much peace. Yes, exactly. It gives so much peace. All right, the next thing is, so what I wrote here was valuing your strengths even when you don't know where or how they can be financially viable. You have to recognize that every gift you have is valuable, and you have to value it. It's not everybody is entrepreneurially minded, so you may not immediately think of how you can put a price tag to your skills, but still value yourself and don't feel insecure just because you don't know what it's for. It is still a gift. It is still a valuable gift. It's just that you haven't figured out how to price it. Now, somebody asked the question, all I wrote here was purpose, money, marriage. So this was a long question about how do you find your purpose. People are telling her she must be making money at her age. She's not married. How's she going to figure it out? And so Mrs. Awosika took the purpose question and she said, look, different parts of you are revealed at different stages in your life. So essentially the answer was, there is no one purpose, like, I've arrived. Like, you're driving to Ogudu. You know the gates. This gate means Ogudu. Purpose is not like that. It was the TFD event, the TFD series. Fela Durotoye organizes the TFD series. I tagged them on the post on the Women's Wealth post for this, so you can find out more by just following the links. That's at Uniquely Yeti. So purpose is not like a destination that you arrive at. It's not like I'm going to Ogudu, so I put Ogudu in my map, and then when I get to Ogudu, I know that I'm here. Purpose is more like the journey. So if you're coming from Aja and you're going to Moe, your purpose is on the way. Because sometimes you're in the car, but you don't know where you're going. That's how purpose is. With life, the only thing we know about our journey, is essentially, a lot of people, the only thing you know about your journey is that you want to go to heaven at the end. So it's almost like you start at earth, you want to get to heaven at the end, But if we use the example of you don't know when you're going to get to heaven, you want to live long on earth first, you want to do as much as possible on earth, and it is on earth that you want to achieve your purpose. So everything on the way must be leading you toward heaven, right? At least Christians, and I know Muslims believe in heaven as well. So if you see purpose as what you do on the road, then you realize that it changes for every season. The example of the road and everything, that's my example. So if you don't understand it, please don't blame Mrs. Awosika, that was me. So you're starting in Aja and you're trying to go to Moe. Your first purpose is to cross the toll. Your second purpose is to get through the traffic. Your next purpose is to maybe go through Lekki. Your next purpose is to go over the bridge. Your next purpose is to go on Third Mainland. Your next purpose is to go down Juicy. So purpose is not like one thing. Purpose is the journey. And you know you're following purpose as long as everything that you're doing is in line with the ultimate goal. Now, Mrs. Awosika essentially said that in different seasons, different parts of you are revealed at different times of your life. Different parts of you are revealed at different times of your life. So don't wait until you have a 100% clear purpose. Just as long as you know where you are and what you need to do next, that's all you need to focus on really when it comes to this purpose journey. She gave the example of her life story, and she said that she first wanted to be a doctor. Then she realized that doctors actually deal with real dead bodies. So she said real human bodies basically, and blood and all of that stuff is real. Then she changed her mind and she ended up studying, I think it was chemistry in university. After her first year of studying chemistry, she decided she wanted to be a lawyer. She went to the dean's office and was really, really adamant about, changing to law. They said, okay, at the end of the year, if you want to change, we'll take you. At the end of that year, she had already decided she did not want to do law again. She decided she wanted to be, what did she decide she wanted to be? She decided she wanted to be an accountant. So while she finished studying chemistry, it's just to show you the difference between where what she thought she wanted to be and where she actually is. She then decided that she was going to take accounting electives. So she took accounting electives till the end of university, which is basically studying 2 courses. It's just that you're only going to get credit for one, essentially the way she did it. And then when she finished, she went to go and study in an accounting firm. She did NYSC there. She said before she finished doing NYSC there, she had already realized that she hated accounting. She didn't want to do accounting. Now, this is a woman we look up to now, how many years later, and we admire her process and her journey so much. We admire we admire who we see her to be, but we don't know the journey that it took her to get there. If we look at Mrs. Awosika, anybody would say that she's living a life of purpose. However, by her sharing her story, she's showing that purpose was not one thing for her at first. It wasn't clear. At every point, she said, even though she didn't know what she wanted, she always knew what she didn't want. And that sometimes that is a guide when you're looking for your purpose. As long as you know what you don't want, use that as a guide so that you just never get stuck where you don't want to be. So yeah, purpose is not one thing. Be patient with yourself. She said she's not a banker. She's an entrepreneur. She started a furniture manufacturing firm. And that's what she's been doing. From there, she started an MBA. From there, she was called to be on the board of a bank. From there, she's been called to be on several boards. All kinds of things like that. And I found that just really helpful to know that you can change your mind. And what she always says is, if you're still young, you're not paying rent, you're not responsible for paying any major bills at this moment. You can afford to take your time to figure out what you want to be before locking yourself down. The thing about marriage, she said, don't marry somebody who wants to marry you. Marry the person you want to marry. I mean, it sounds a bit, let me say it the way she really meant it. She meant, don't marry somebody just because the person asks you to marry them. Don't let it be, oh my God, finally somebody asked me. Let it be that you've seen this person, you realize that you think your values are aligned, you think your life path will be the same, you think this person will be an asset to you, you think this person is going to allow you to fly and not hold you down. She says she's seen so many intelligent women who end up marrying the wrong person, who then wants to clip their wings and doesn't allow them to fly. She gave the example of her husband and how he's so supportive and how she ensures that she doesn't lord it over him. So for instance, she would do a great job or something and he would say, well done, and she would say, thank you, my husband. Not because she couldn't have said thank you, honey, or thank you, darling, but because by saying thank you, my husband, she's reiterating to him that she knows his place and that she realizes that he's the head of the home. And so she's never contesting that. I think the subtext of that was that in some marriages or in some relationships, the woman does not know how to. I don't believe that any woman actually wants to be wicked and be mean to her husband. But some women don't know how to continue to be themselves, continue to fly without making their partner feel intimidated. And that the feeling of intimidation is not necessarily what you intended, but it's in how you communicate. What words do you use? Do you see it as, somebody actually asked this question, do you see it as your money versus my money? Do you see? Or do you see it as every money that comes into this family is our money, regardless of who did the sweat to bring it in? In fact, she said that she normally tells, when women say, but I did everything now, he's not doing anything, that she says to them, would you rather suffer together? Or would you rather share the money that you have worked hard to bring? Like, it does not matter who is bringing in the money. It's just that because two have become one in a marriage, whatever money comes in belongs to us. So that thing of my money is my money, your money is our money, that's actually wrong, because the men end up feeling exploited and as if women are always trying to steal their money. Meanwhile, every money that comes in should actually belong to the couple. Wow, she talked about career people. She's like, okay, if you're not interested in the path of entrepreneurship and you want to grow your career, because someone asked about growing your career, she says find opportunities that exist within your company, opportunities to excel. So volunteer for things, solve problems. It will take more time and more sacrifice, but put yourself out there so that people will know that you are somebody who takes up challenges, someone who puts themselves forward, someone who is reliable, and so that way they can consider you for promotions and all of that stuff that comes with it. But she said when it comes to careers, don't focus on fast. So somebody said, how do I move ahead in my career fast? And she gave, how do I move ahead in my career, like in a proper way, like volunteer for stuff, put yourself forward for team, lead things, solve problems within your organization, fill in the gaps that your organization does not have the time or the energy or the expertise or the willingness even to fill. Just go out of your way to do more stuff. Then she also said, don't try to go too fast. She gave the example of bankers who used to hop from bank to bank and be promoted really quickly. So you be promoted, let's say it normally takes 15 years to go from starter to manager. People will end up doing it in maybe like 5 years or 7 years, because every time they jump to the next bank, they are promoted. But she said that after a while, people started to notice that they did not have the experience for the role. And so they started to get demoted or they started to get fired. And that it's better to take your time to learn those skills and to grow than for you to rush and at the end of it, you have to get fired. Okay, what's the next point? Ooh, she said sometimes, then somebody asked, what if you have so many talents, there's just so much you can do and you don't know which one to do, and everybody's always saying, you can do so many things. And when that lady asked, I was just like, yeah, that sounds like me. And Mrs. Awosika gave a very insightful answer. She said, we always think we can do many things, but that's not true. She says, you think you can do many things, but that's not true. All right, Oluwa came into your mind. You can listen later. Thanks for joining. She said that's not true. She said what you will find is that you have an idea. The fact that you have a good idea does not mean it's yours to execute. You will find that, for instance, even if you've thought about something, you've thought about 10 things, it doesn't mean you can do the 10 things. Some of them you need to, if you think it's such a great idea, find somebody else who can do it. Tell them the idea, and if you're that passionate about it, invest in it while they do it. You'll find that there's some other things that you can do it, but your personality doesn't even like it. You don't enjoy it. So you know what to do, but you don't enjoy doing it, and you end up not putting your best. That there are so many things that if we factor in, where did I put it? If you factor in personality as well as skill, I'm trying to find where I put it. Anyway, if you factor in personality as well as skill, you will find that it's not everything you think you want to do that you can actually do or that you should actually do. So she says sometimes the opportunities you see are not yours, they are for others. Be willing to be willing to share those ideas. Don't try to hug everything to yourself. It's not everything you see and you know how to do that you are meant to do. So that also helps with clarifying the confusion of, oh my God, I'm so talented, I can do everything, I don't know what to do. Now that really hit home for me because I've always said that, in fact, my parents used to say to me when I was growing up, oh, you could have done anything. Why did you go and study English? Oh, you could have done anything. Why did you decide to be a teacher? You could have done anything. Anyway, this film thing, I don't know what you're doing. You could have done it. And I kept hearing that my whole life. You could have done anything. Why did you do this? And it made me feel like you have so much potential. Next to new bridal. Yes, I'm glad you agree. You're not meant to do everything. But the ones you can do well, do them really well. So yeah, my parents used to tell me, oh, you could have done other things. And that used to make me ashamed of my choices. My whole family is full of engineers. My brothers are all engineers. My dad is an engineer. My mom studied like town planning and regional planning. So to me, she might as well be an engineer. And I studied English. And then I studied creative writing for my master's. And then I started doing all kinds of things. I worked in an arts foundation, and then I worked in what did I do? I worked in a bank, then I worked in a production company, then I worked in an art foundation, then I went to do my master's, and I worked as a teacher, then I worked in advertising for a short while. Then what did I do after that? Then I freelanced producing other things, and I was a presenter at some point, and then now I'm on the show as a presenter, also creating content. I'm interested in children's content. So there are a lot of things that I've always wanted to do. And then also I'm really good with like managerial stuff. So I will always be able to see the problems. I'll volunteer myself to solve the problems. I've done social media marketing at some point. It's like I can almost do graphics. If you ask me, I can get to some graphics. I can doodle. Like, I was just like, man, if you just pick one of these things, or maybe you just do it and be a star. But I realized that I didn't want to do everything. And some things I only want to do it when I'm doing it for myself and blah, 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 blah. But as Mrs. Awosika said, basically, not everything is meant for you. I realized exactly what the issue was. That even though my parents had been saying that I could do everything, I wasn't meant to do everything. So I can do administrative work. I can do it very well because I'm relatively structured and focused. But I hate it. I hate it. Sorry, so admin people. And there's so many creative things I can do, but I don't like doing it. On this show that I'm co-hosting with my friend Dikbo, Heart of the Matter Plus, we get guests together, like with the production team. We're responsible to find the guests that we're going to bring on the show, the next episode, and things like that. And I can have all their numbers. I can say, oh my God, yes, this is how you should do it. But I don't like calling people. I'm that person who, when I worked at African Artists Foundation, you're meant to call sponsors and you're meant to call people and follow up. I like literally would be, like my stomach would be, my heart would be beating. I'm like, I don't want to call. I don't like doing it, but I like being able to say, all right, these are the things we have to do. You do this. You do this. You do this. Follow up. How far? How are we going? Do we need to re-strategize? Let's come back. Let's look like. So I'm very efficient in that way, but I really hate doing the actual stuff. But I didn't know that. I thought I was being lazy because I didn't like calling people. Meanwhile, I can spend hours doing something else. So know yourself. Know what you're good at. So it's not just because you have the answer that it means that you are meant to be the one to do it. Spend quite some time on that one. Okay. Ooh, then I got this personal note from here. There's value in your perspective. It is different from other people's perspectives. There's value in your perspective. What you see is valuable and who you are is valuable. The fact that everybody doesn't see it the way you do does not make you wrong. It makes you valuable. Yeah? Whether it's problems in the country, whether it's problems in your house, whether it's how to wash the plates, whether it's how to write a new document, there's value in your perspective. And then Mrs. Awosika said, while you're figuring out your purpose, or rather while you're on the journey of purpose, whatever your hands find to do, give it your best. So don't say, because I don't like doing this thing, I'm not going to do it well. For instance, even when I had administrative roles, I did them well because for me, I think that was just luck because I could have been very lazy. But I think I was afraid of having a bad reputation. That was my own motivation. I wanted people to always say Amataya was great at what she did. That's the only reason why I was good at it. Mrs. Awosika was saying that for her, even though she hated all the jobs that she had before she got into manufacturing, she still did them well. She still did them well because people will remember what People will remember if you were a hardworking person or if you were a lazy person. They're not going to be like, oh, but the reason why she was horrible at it was because, the reason why she was lazy was because she was not naturally talented. No one's going to say that. So do your best. Whatever your hands find to do it well, even if it's not your place of purpose. And then know what you don't want, even if you don't know what you do want. And then run your own race. Don't compare yourself to anyone else, because the fact that you're side by side with somebody on third mainland bridge heading to the mainland does not. Somebody may be going to Ogudu and then they'll stop before you. Somebody may be going to Alausa and they'll go all the way there. If you're going to Mowe, you're going to keep going. So, and if you're going to Ibadan, you're going to go even further. So your destination is what's going to determine your own race. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. Even there are many people whose paths will cross with yours on your journey, but don't compare yourself to theirs. She says, don't marry a fool. Don't marry a fool. I love that. But I think what she meant was not that the idea of like men are fools. It's not that. It's about don't marry somebody who doesn't understand or believe or align with where and who you are. Because that person, the person who is a fool for you, or who is foolish to you or to your life's journey is valuable to somebody else. So don't just end up trapped just because you want to get married. I found this really, really powerful. She says, understand the context of your life and find your place within it. Understand the context of your life and find your place within it. A few years ago, I wrote a series on a blog platform, or a website called The Naked Convos, and it was called Yanga. And the reason why it was called Yanga was because I was writing about women, and the inspiration for that was I had been frustrated by the fact that women were always complaining. It's because I'm a woman that they're not giving me opportunities. It's because I'm a woman that I cannot do this. It's because I'm married that I can't do this. And I know that those things are valid because we have such a range of diverse cultures in Nigeria, but all of them almost to some degree have a limitation on what a woman can achieve. It is true. However, I found that there are ways to stoop to conquer. Now, a few women's argument is, why do you need to stoop to conquer? You should not have to stoop to conquer. You should be able to be as powerful and as strong as you want to be without having to stoop to conquer. But the reason for my frustration then when I wrote this series, and I guess I still have a bit of that frustration now, is that if you understand the context of your environment, then you understand the limitations of that environment. Now, the fact that there are limitations externally should not affect your ability internally. Hi, Shola. The fact that they are so, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. If a woman is in a boardroom, she may be expected to be the one who smiles at everyone and says, how's your wife? And how are your children? But because other people are not saying, how's your wife and how are your children, you're like, why, as a woman, should I need to do that? So you bone face, I'm not gonna greet anybody because the men are not greeting anybody. But if you know the parameters of success, if you know that if you greet somebody and say, how's your wife and children, they will be more favorable to you. I'm not talking about having sex with married men. I'm not talking about sleeping your way to the top. I'm talking about just feminine things. If you know that in Nigeria, you don't call people by their names in the business setting, you say Mr. In fact, sometimes you have to say uncle. There's no point saying, why do I have to say uncle? It is a business environment. You better say uncle if you want the contract. Now, you're already qualified enough to be in that room. I'm taking that for granted. You've already worked hard to get this meeting, this opportunity to present to a board. You've already worked hard for this opportunity. Then you now get there. And the thing that will make you the qualified person, the thing that will make you get it is if you say, Ekason, sir. You say, why do I have to speak vernacular in an office? You are in Lagos. Understand the context of the environment that you live in. And maximize it. If you relocate to the US, you can call your grandfather by name. But if you are in Lagos and you have a goal and you want to succeed, then just work within the context. You don't have to spend energy being so frustrated about how people are unprofessional. Just kneel down. If cutscene is the issue, you do not kneel down to greet me. And you know that because you did not kneel down, they will not give you the contract or they will not give you the job. My dear, kneel down. Just get it out of the way. This is my personal interpretation of this. Understand the context within which you live. Somebody asked a question about how to manage staff, and she said the way she manages staff that are older than her, or rather the way she managed staff that were older than her when she started her company, was that she was respectful to them. So, for instance, the way we see it is when you're a boss, hashtag CEO, hashtag boss lady. When you're a boss, everybody is under you, so you can be like, hey, John, come here. Where's that report? 5 minutes. Thank you. But when you're in Lagos and you're 35 and John is 55, how about you say, Mr. John, good afternoon, how are you? How was your night? Did you sleep well? Yes, so. Mr. John, that thing we asked you to do yesterday, it's time, sorry, madam, I will get it to you. If you call that same Mr. John and you say, John, come here, you're in trouble. Because if you need your staff to move your business forward and your staff is not cooperating, then your business is not going to move forward. So if you understand that because you're in Lagos and Mr. John is going to be Mr. John is not going to be John. Deal with it. Understand the context. Understand the context of your life. If as a woman, you're going into a meeting and there's nothing, you don't think there's anything wrong with wearing a V-neck top because it's not even showing that much cleavage anyway, but you know that you're going to be around people who are going to judge you for what you wear, then be conservative. The Bible says, and Paul says, how did he say it? To the Jews, I was as a Jew. To the Greek, I was as a Greek. Something like that. Basically, he adapted himself to the culture so that he could penetrate. He wants to preach the word here, and they say you have to remove your shoe. Remove your shoe. Don't be like, oh my God, where I'm from, I don't remove my shoe. What is your goal? What is your goal, and what is success to you? Is it ensuring that you keep your own views by force, or is it ensuring that you achieve what you were meant to achieve? I don't know if that makes sense. The other example that came to my mind for men is, so there was a time one of my brothers had like really long bushy hair. And I think he was even considering having dreads. And I was like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, but, you're an entrepreneur going around. Hi, just Dudu. Abby. Yeah, hi. Sorry. I was remembering your Instagram handle. Anyway, and I was like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having dreads. However, number one, you're in Lagos, which means half of the people who look at you are going to think that you're irresponsible, even though you're not. And two, you're an entrepreneur going around asking people for money. People are not going to want to give you money if they see you with dreads. It's wrong, but what is more important to you? Is it more important to you for you to hold on to your identity and say dreads are my identity? Meanwhile, these dreads, you still cut your hair anyway, so it's not as if it's really your identity. Or is it more important to you to get your work done? When you've become CEO, when you have become Mark Zuckerberg, when you have become Steve Jobs, then you can wear whatever you want and do whatever hairstyle you want. But until then, please cut your hair, make it nice and low, and wear button-down shirts. Don't wear torn shirts to this meeting. And for my brother, at that time, I think it was important enough for him to say, I want to have dreads because that's my identity. Well, that's his personal goal. But if his goal was to make some dough, or to actually not even to make the money just for the money's sake, if his goal was to establish a lasting organization, then he would just choose his battles. You said they'll misinterpret it and turn me unserious. Exactly. They won't even listen to how intelligent you are. And so I always feel like for women, I know that we are very intelligent and I know that we are very capable. But if you know that within that context, you have to say, and kneel down a little. Kneel down, because nobody is telling you to sleep with anybody. They're just telling you to show respect according to the culture of where you are. So understand the context. It wasn't really the context of your life per se. That's just the context of your work environment. The context of your life would also be family. So a lot of people have this idea that when you get married, it's only you and your husband, everybody else should leave you alone. But the truth is, in our culture, everybody else doesn't leave you alone. You get married, and then you have to account for the in-laws, you have to account for your uncles and your aunts, you have to account for all of that, and you have to find a way to carry all of them in. So if you start off being frustrated that your mother-in-law wants to talk to your husband, all those kinds of things, like, then you are just frustrating yourself in advance. But if you understand the context of your life, then you can thrive within it instead of fighting against it. She also said, your character, like, even though purpose changes, the substance of your character and your essential life values do not change. So your purpose may change, but integrity must be consistent. And then somebody asked about integrity, and somebody said, how did you manage to build a business from the ground up as a young woman and keep your integrity intact? And she said two things to herself when she started. She was not going to sleep with any man to get any job, and she's not going to pay bribes. And that they told her that was the recipe for failure, but that she did it. And she said integrity is something that is who you are. You don't apply integrity when it's in the workplace, then drop integrity when you go home, which I guess is what we do in church. Sorry, I just had a moment. It's true, that's what we do in church. In church, you're like, hey, integrity. Then you come out and you're like, peace up, Jesus. And then you do whatever we want, which is why Nigeria is not actually feeling the effect of the church, because the church doesn't actually have any lasting integrity. It's all fake. So basically what she's saying is that you cannot pick and choose when you have integrity. Integrity is who you are. And she said, what's integrity essentially? It is doing what you say you're going to do, keeping your word, and having set values that people can kind of count on you for. Exactly, it is our identity. It is who you are. And she says, but what you do when it's tough is that you build a system around you to protect you. So you have your tight community. You have your 2 people, your 3 people who keep you accountable for your goals, but also in your value system. So people you can call and they'll say, no, don't do that. In fact, she was talking about how sometimes she talks to Fela Durotoye, and she says to her, she can say something to her like, take down that post because I see where you're going in life, and don't put up that post on Instagram. Don't worry, I have longer term vision. And so she has someone who she's accountable to, who can help her keep herself in line with the values that she has already established for herself, I guess. Next to New Bridal, you said, please save this video. I will. In fact, I'll save the video, and I will also save it and upload it on YouTube, because I've started doing that. Then she said, your brand is self-managed. Your brand, you create your brand. So a lot of us, and this really hit home for me, because only maybe like a month ago, or maybe like maybe like a month ago, that I realized that, no, not a month ago. But anyway, I realized that I had always been I was always hoping for the world to help me thrive. If my dad had only allowed me to, go to LA when I was 16, if my, all those ifs, if only somebody had given me money when I was younger, if only somebody had something, if only, and I was always kind of blaming the world or expecting the world. Like, for instance, if you're in an organization, if you're in an office, you're like, why haven't they promoted me yet? She's like, no, you can manage your own brand. As far as, she says, your brand is self-managed. You determine who you are. You determine how you want to be remembered. You determine the values you want to be associated with. Hi, Raquel. Yes, just taking responsibility for yourself, and that you get to manage your brand. You get to determine what your brand is. You get to determine if you want to be seen as somebody who has integrity, is hardworking. You get to manage that. And in every context that you're in, it does not matter what is going on around you, and Nigeria is not helping you thrive, whatever. You do your best, because it is, what does the Bible say? If you lend somebody money and they give it back to you, then what value have you really gained? But if you give somebody money who cannot give it back to you, then that's when you've done something noteworthy. So if the world is easy and then you succeed because it's easy, then which grits have you developed? Which character have you developed? But how you respond to your environment at every single time you know, it shows your character, it helps you develop or whatever. But anyway, Shasha said your brand is self-managed. No one is responsible for your life and your path except you. She said, choose the people next to new bridal. Please focus on the conversation. So don't be distracted by this doo-doo. But then anyway, when you're having your cheat day, you can hit up just to do the ng. Okay, so build a system around you. Ha 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 ha. Nice one, just to do. Next to new brother, please take responsibility for yourself. Don't blame it on just do. Keep your diet, so don't say it's anybody's fault. Sorry, Hafinoiki. You can just watch the replay if your network is acting up. All right. I have so many more points, but we only have like 3 minutes left. All right. Build a system around you to protect you. Choose the people around you, your close people who stoke your fire, people who encourage you. Now, for me, while I was sitting down at the event, I kept thinking about how, I ended up sitting in front, right in front. Like I was under her like this, looking at her face as she was moving around. But I found that one of the toughest things for me is not that I don't have ideas, it's not that I don't know how to solve problems, it's that I don't always have people to push me. And I know I'm taking responsibility for myself. It's nobody's fault, it's my fault. But when it comes to the idea of having like a close-knit group of people who push you to achieve your goals, like you push each other, it's hard. I don't know if it's, I think it might be hard for me to ask for help because I feel like I'm always the one giving help, even though that God has shown me that that's really just pride, because the same people who ask me for help have the ability to help me because they are doing things. Do you know what I mean? Raquel, you said choose your friends. Yes, choose your friends really, really wisely and understand the roles of your different friends. Now this one we're ad-libbing. This is not what Mrs. Awosika said. But understand the different roles that your different friends play in your life. So I have friends who I call because they're lighthearted and talking to them always makes me feel a little happier. I have friends I call because I want to have like deep conversations. I used to have friends I used to turn up with, but they're all married now, so there's no turning up anymore. So, you know, just to do. Taking responsibility for me would mean putting myself under people that won't take my excuse now, would demand execution from me. Do you know, you're so right. You're so right. And I realized that this also means that taking responsibility would also mean that I have to insist, I have to draw it out of them. I can't just sit back and say, oh, but you didn't call me. I have to actually draw it out of them. That's really, really helpful. And that's something that I can't just say that's just how I am. I have to actively change to become someone who would draw out this help that I need from people instead of sitting back and saying, well, why didn't you help me? And to be honest, that's what I've been doing my whole life. I've been waiting for other people to volunteer to help me rather than taking responsibility for my life. So that's actually really helpful. Thank you for that. Actually, I'm going to take a screenshot of it just so I can keep it. There we go. All right. She goes, involve your husband in your business. Involve your husband in your business. That way he understands the struggle for you. And I guess it goes for husbands as well. In fact, involve your wife in your business. So it's not just like, oh, I had so much work to do, don't you know? It's like, I don't know though. Like, because you don't involve me, you don't tell me about you don't tell me what's going on, so I don't know what you're doing. All I know is that you went to work and you came back home. Like, even if it's lunchtime, even if it's driving to inspect a site together, even if it is waiting for a client together, at least when you see that setting of what they're doing, it keeps your mind at rest. So it's not like, oh, you're so busy with work that, you know, that your husband should understand and let you fly. All these men who are never trying to let you thrive. No, sometimes it's just involve the guy. Let him know, ask him, oh, I'm trying to pick between this supplier and this supplier. What do you think? Even if he's not the one who's qualified to do it, just ask him and take his suggestions on board, because that would show that you value his input in every part of your life, not just at home. She said every human being responds to love and dignity and respect. That we should watch that. She respects everybody. She respects and values everyone around her. She calls everybody sir and ma. Security guard, house help, everybody. She doesn't have that thing. Oh gosh, it's 45 seconds remaining. It's probably going to cut off at 20 seconds, so I have to start rounding up. But yeah, so many notes. It was wonderful. It was amazing. I'm going to replay this video. I'm going to put it up on YouTube, but I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to have been at the TFD series yesterday. It was wonderful. I'll see you guys next week for another Woman's Wealth live chat. Thank you guys. See you next week.